Welcome back to the Military Historian Channel. I'm your host, Lloyd Shellenberger, and today we're going to go into another segment of the Left Behind Letters from Baghdad book and series, and we're going to be talking to April and Asra al-Abbasi. They were infants at the time in 2004 and 2005, and actually April was born in 2005, just a few weeks before she left for America. And this is a story that's interesting because I remember having to leave with them and loading them up in the Humvees and getting them on Route Irish and getting them out of the city to buy up or Baghdad International Airport and watching them leave. It was a frightening experience, and even then the terrorists didn't give up. She was an infant, and she doesn't really remember much about her father. Neither does April. But you should still listen to the story because it's a heartwarming story of family unity and love. Welcome to the Military Historian Podcast. I'm Lloyd Shellenberger. I'm your host. Thank you for tuning in. We have two special guests here, April and Asra al-Abbasi.
Hi, my name is Asra al-Abbasi, first name A-S-R-A, last name A-L-A-B-A-S-E.
Hi, I'm Zara al-Abbasi, first name Z-A-H-R-A-A, last name A-L-A-B-A-S-E.
Well, I'm glad to have both of you here today, and I'll tell you why. As I told you the other night, I'm a writer. I sat on your story for 21 years, and the more I started looking into your family's history, I realized, oh my God, this is incredible. What has happened to you, and by the way, it is a tragedy on every level, and I want to tell you I'm sorry for what you had to go through. But you were infants at the time. The last time we met was over 20 years ago, when myself and the 49th and other soldiers were taking you out of the Green Zone to fly to New York and then to North Dakota. What has it been like for you being in America? More than that, what is it like for you being an American right now?
Yeah, I can go first. I really enjoy the freedom that I have here, and I can speak my mind and opinion on anything, and yeah, freedom is a big part of what I enjoy of America.
Did your family have freedom in Iraq?
No, they did not.
And you, what about America have you taken away from this whole experience?
I was going to say freedom as well, but I think the community here is extraordinary. I think seeing everybody come together, especially coming for our family, has been such a huge thing growing up, and being able to lean back on all the soldiers and legal professionals that have really inspired our own lives and have really helped us. So I think it's the sense of community and everybody pitching in together to help others, and you don't really find that in other places.
We're literally just 2 days past the anniversary of your father's death. To fill in the audience and let them know what happened, your father, Majeed, was murdered in Iraq for helping American soldiers, and your brother Omar was there and witnessed it. It was such a heartfelt story when I heard it and read it, and a lot of times it brought me to tears. What do you know of your father? You were told things, and what are some of those things you were told?
I was told that he's a hero and that he helped the American soldiers and the American government find ISIS and basically dismantle them, yeah, and he was a hero for that.
You were told about him probably by your mother, who we will eventually interview. If you think you've met a braver woman, just wait till you hear more about her. What did your mom say to you about your dad?
My mom's extravagant. Yeah, she's the most brave person I've ever met. And yeah, she's amazing. But growing up, she always told us kind of how they met, and always inspired us to, hopefully find what she had with my father one day. And even though there was, I think a lot of people miss and don't really know about my father is the things that he went through as a child, and how it kind of made him become such a brave man. And we've been told stories our entire lives of how selfless he was and how amazing he was, and I think he's left such a big legacy. And I just hearing these stories growing up has made me want to follow in his own legacy.
What kind of stories did they tell you?
I'm not sure where you want me to start, but
Just put it out there.
Okay.
How do you want to?
So there were multiple times where my dad would go and I guess food during the time was really, really difficult to get, and he would go and travel miles and miles just to get them rice and potatoes and onions. I mean, as in some of the photos that we saw last night. So I think he would do anything for us. And that's exactly what he did. So
Yeah.
Do you have any stories you remember of him?
Yeah, honestly, I know that every day he risked his life, knowing when he would go to the American soldiers that there would be people looking over him, and he would risk his life just so that he would dismantle ISIS, and he would risk his life every day knowing that. So I think that shows a lot about him and, you know, the strides that he went towards.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but living in Samara, it didn't fall to the American forces until October of 2004 of that year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 5 tribes in that area who were all pro-Saddam, not pro-American. Your father was operating in all of that. I don't know what it means to you, but for me as a military person, that is brave. Now, from the day that your father died, did your mother ever tell you about what she went through?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
she did. She said it was a really difficult day because she had overheard that Omar was with our dad, and so when she heard that Majeed, our father, was dead, she thought Omar was dead too. She had no idea if he was alive, really if he was okay or anything. She knew nothing. And I remember actually this past summer when we were in Jamestown on our way leaving, my mom started talking to us about more stories that we had never heard before. And she said how fearful that time was, because all of an instant it was, now there was a bounty on Omar, and then it was my mom not only just lost her husband, but has to protect all of her children.
Yep.
And she said it was the most fearful time of her life. And our grandma, she came to the house to try to help us. And my mom said there was one day where she was praying that she wouldn't die, and she remembered that people were going to come and they were trying to find us, and so she told our grandma to hide all of us kids in this house because there was a knock on the door, and she thought that this person was genuinely going to kill her. And as she opened the door, it was actually U.S. military forces, and it wasn't someone going to kill her. So it was a very relieving moment for my mom after days of just thinking she was going to die.
So was it Captain Grant Wills and Shane Beckert at the door?
I believe so. I don't.
because
I'm not sure 100%.
a lot of heavy influence in your family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. She mentioned Shane, and she said that
She did say
Shane
Shane.
was she jumped into Shane's arms, and that she was just relief, and she just felt like a breath of fresh air, because she risked her life, and she protected all of us, right? She put us all in a room and a closet, and she was like, stay here. And she told her mom, my grandma, to stay here. And she was like, if you go out, then we're all gonna die. So she put us in the closet, or she put my family in the closet, and she went to the door thinking that she was gonna die, and if they found her, then she would just be dead. But thankfully it was Shane Beckert who was at the door and really just kind of rescued my mother and my family.
You're close to the Beckert family and the Wills family, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will's daughter and I have been really close friends ever since we were young, and we still have a super close relationship. So it's really nice being connected and close with some of the people who risk their lives to save ours.
And the 141st has become a second family, hasn't it?
Yeah, It has.
Speak to me about what people should really take away from the Iraqi war. Because to explain to the audience, the Iraqi people didn't have a say in going to war. What would be the one takeaway for people watching this podcast that they can really and should really understand about what the locals went through?
Traumatizing. That's what I could put in one word. Hearing the stories of my mom, and not only my mom, but my siblings during the time of the war, and what they had seen is something I personally can't comprehend. I mean, I was only 2, so I don't remember those things, but the stories they've said and the things that they've seen is something that I feel like people would pray they would never go through. So I think media says a lot about what it was like, but I think that actually being there and experiencing everything is a lot worse than what the media said it was.
It's true.
Yeah.
What would you have to say to
I would
to
say,
Debbie?
yeah, it's really traumatizing for the people back home, and there's a lot of lives that were lost, unfortunately, you know, and because of that, you know, people emphasized it and made it look into something that it's not, and that, like, you know, there was multiple lives that were lost on both sides, which is very unfortunate, but it was just very traumatizing and very, you know, risky, everything. So yeah.
I don't know the exact number of Iraqi civilians that died in the war, but the reason we don't know the exact number is that a lot of Iraqis would bury their dead without death certificates. But I know you have a pretty good idea what the number might be because you understand the culture. I remember I was told once by a girl, you have no understanding what has happened here. And your culture doesn't understand it because people have been dying in this country for a long time. It's just part of what's happening here. And to a certain extent, America's involvement in it made it worse. For a long time, actually. I don't know if that could have been prevented. But I know there were a lot of people who would say under Saddam, there was more organization, but you couldn't trust the government. In retrospect, what was your opinion on what you saw in the war and what it did to the country?
Yeah, the war was a really long time, and I think even after the 2005 war, when we ended up leaving Iraq, just living in North Dakota, there were so many different times in a span of multiple different years where my mom would get phone calls from her brothers and sisters saying, oh hey, like there's bombs, like we could literally die. Like it wasn't just over when we left, it was a continuous fight. And I think looking back retrospectively, it kind of put a negative view on Iraq, and I think we just went back to Iraq this October, and I think for the longest time the media scared me because it showed, oh, this is what Iraq is like, you know, there's so much terrorism there, there's this and that happened after the war, and going back actually was super eye-opening because it's nothing like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it has progressed a lot in over 20 years. Like, there's more freedom back there than there was 20 years ago. Every place is open and more opening towards women specifically. But yeah, Iraq back then used to be very corrupt, and there was good parts and there was bad parts, of course, any government. But yeah, it's definitely progressed, you know, as a place like Baghdad and that, and it's literally beautiful back there. There's so many eye-catching things like Mutanebi, Elif Lele Walele. They're all like places that you can go to that are very beautiful, and they've definitely built on the destruction that's been passed over 20 years.
So would it be safe to say, don't judge the Iraqi people based on the Iraqi government's actions?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So I would like the two of you in a closing statement to tell the people what you would like them to understand about your family.
So I would say my family, we're very close-knit. We love everyone. We're very, very giving, and we have even more love to give. We're close-knit because of everything that happened back then, and I don't want people to get the wrong idea of us and any idea, or that we betrayed our people back home, or we betrayed like the American soldiers by any means. It's nothing like that. We did everything to protect everyone around us and our family. So yeah.
I'd have to agree with her. I think our family is one of the closest families I think I've ever met. We're so loving towards one another, and no matter what happens in our life, we make sure that nothing will tear us apart, considering the fact that we lost our dad at such a young age and went through so many things. And I just think that, you know, people think, oh, we came to the U.S. and we got it easy and all these things, but I think what people don't realize is even when we got here, it was a fight for so many years. And to be called an American has been one of the hardest things until we actually got those documents, and it's like, we're actually Americans now.
Okay, so what I want to say to you two, I read your dad's story. If there ever was a person that needed to be called a hero and not a traitor, it was him. But your father knew he was going to die, and he asked Grant and Shane to take care of his family. did they do that.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah. One thing is, I know my dad knew that he was gonna die. You know, back then, my brother Ahmed, he had a dream that my dad died, and he told my dad, and my dad he said, Ahmed, I know I'm gonna die. And so he knew the days leading up that this was gonna happen and that he was gonna be killed, but unfortunately that happened, and luckily Omar, because he was with him, Omar,
He saved Omar.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a crazy thing to experience for Omar, and that's his side that I can't say because that's for him to say, but I just know that my dad saved him and did everything to protect us and protect everyone around him, including the soldiers and the Americans that helped us. And yeah.
I want to thank April and Asra Abbasi for being here today. These are two brave young ladies who are part of a rich family history. The Abbasi history is rich, and both of these two deserve respect for what they have gone through and what they have been part of. And I want to thank them for being here. Thank you.
Yeah,
Really
thank you.
appreciate it.
All right. So here's the deal. If you actually like and want to share these videos, I think you're supposed to hit the share and a like button. Go ahead, hit it. I think that's what you're supposed to do. And share it with others. We've got more videos coming your way. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time.